Welcome to my channel. My name's Jared. This is another Sunday update video. I also post silent build videos on most Wednesdays and Fridays, so be sure to check those out as well. Today, we're going to talk about the 356 and the Model T. Okay, so the 356. I'm really pleased with how this is coming out. If you haven't already watched the beginning of this series, you should definitely check out the first couple videos that show how badly this car was damaged when I got it. But it has come out really well, considering the damage. So, if you saw my last build video, you would have seen that I got the door frames in, I got the door windows in, the wing vents, the quarter windows, I got the door panels on, the threshold installed, the door seals. We're basically done with the cosmetic part of this car. Because as a reminder, I'm not painting the car. It's almost entirely original paint, all the panels are original, and I'm not doing a full multi-year restoration. I'm just beating out the dents and getting this thing ready to drive. So, I'm really happy with the way this came out. The fit is pretty good. The driver's side, this A-pillar has been an issue for a while. I've known that was going to be the main issue with all the fitment on the car. The problem is the A-pillar is too high. It really needs to be pulled kind of down in this direction, but there wasn't really any way to do that. I didn't have any kind of machine or anything that I could pull that down with, and the press that I was using, the hydraulic cylinder, could only push out. So I knew this was going to be an issue. It caused a bit of an issue with the windshield that I was able to seal up, and then it also causes this gap here. So it's a bigger gap here than there should be. But aside from that, everything else went really well. If you look on the passenger side, the fit over here is really good. So the gap all the way around the door frame is really good. There's a little bit more gap up here, but not that bad. The seal seals all the way around the window frame really well. The door, so you may remember that there was a crack, a split in the bottom of the door kind of frame area down there. So the door never fit that well before, but once I welded that up and I readjusted it, it fits really well now. So the passenger door came out great. The interior came out good. The inside of the car is a very nice place to be now. So I'm very pleased with that. So really, overall, I'm very happy with how this is coming out. So, like I said before, the next step now is going to be to move on to the mechanical side of things. So, I already have the fuel tank out of the front, and so while that's out, I'm going to replace the brake master cylinder and anything else in that area that I need to get to while the tank is out. Then I'll put all that back together, and I'll start working on the front brakes and suspension, and then we will work our way back. So we'll work on the transmission, the rear suspension and brakes, and of course the engine. So the engine is probably going to take a little while. I have considered pulling the engine out of the 912 temporarily to put it into this car, and then I could build the engine for this while I'm actually able to move this thing around and even drive it a little bit. But I don't know for sure if that's what I'm going to do or not. So anyway, the 356 is looking really good. I'm very happy with it. We're making good progress. There's still a lot to come on the mechanical side of the build, but the cosmetic side is pretty much done, and I'm pleased with that. So that's the 356. Now we'll talk about the Model T. So you can see I've got a bunch of stuff here on the floor from the Model T because I'm painting the inside of the car, so I had to move all this stuff out. I'm also in the process of rebuilding the carburetor. So this is the original carburetor off the Model T and a lot of its components. You can see I've been using the Ultrasonic Cleaner. This thing is really great. There'll be a link in the description if you guys are interested in getting one. They also have smaller versions, but this is really great for cleaning carburetors, especially when you're dealing with the needles and things. This carburetor, I don't believe it actually has any kind of needle other than this. There's not really like typical carburetor needles that have, fine little spaces in them that need to be cleaned, but still the Ultrasonic Cleaner did a really good job cleaning that stuff up as well. So that's the carb. You can see out here, this is the fuel tank. So I pulled it out and this was completely dry, bone dry, not a bit of fuel or any liquid in it at all. So that's kind of good. There's not really any rust inside either, so that's a good thing. However, the filler cap here was completely seized in there. I've been trying for months to get this out. I've soaked this with oil many times. I've beat on it. just trying to get it to budge, and it just would not move. So finally I broke it out with the hammer. I kind of beat it into pieces and knocked the pieces out. And of course a lot of those pieces went inside the tank, so now I need to get those out. I think I'm going to try to vacuum them out maybe. But that shouldn't be that big of an issue. And then I'll clean that up and paint that. I have been working on the inside of the car. So I've cleaned up the floor and the frame. And what I'm doing, you may have noticed already, is I just paint the section of the frame that I have access to when I have access to it. So when the engine was out, I painted the front section. Now this section of the floor and the gas tank are out, I painted this section. And then as I move back, when I do the rear end, I'll paint that section of the frame. So eventually everything gets treated and painted, but I don't do it all at once. I just kind of do it as I'm going along. But so you can see, I've cleaned up the floor and painted it. I still need to pull that battery out and clean up that area of the frame and paint that. But everything's looking pretty good in here, and we're making good progress. The carburetor, of course, we'll install it right here, and then I've got to hook up the exhaust, and then still a few little things down on the bottom to address, and some cables and stuff here that run the carburetor and things like that. But for the most part, we're getting really close, and hopefully this thing is going to run very soon. So that's pretty much it for the Model T, and that's pretty much it for the 356. So kind of a quick update this week, guys, but making good progress on both projects. So thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing.